Hi guys, how you doing? It's Dom here from Sounds Fit Magazine and Gimme a Whole Year. Just had a wonderful chat with Matt Rehwoldt about his career as Aiden English, his career as the Drama King in Impact Wrestling, his past, his present, and his future as well, his interest in gaming, his YouTube channels, and much, much more besides. Big thanks to Impact Wrestling for allowing us the opportunity to do this, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you soon. Take it easy. Matt, mate, how are you doing today? You all right?
Absolutely, man. How are you?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing all right. Thank you so much for making the time for me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
First question. This is long before I knew I was going to have the chance to interview you. One of the questions I've always wanted to ask you is, so I work with a lot of young people, sort of young musicians, sort of about finding their voice. Now, I want to know, where can you take me back to the moment where you found out you could enunciate, you could sing, you could project like that? Because it's iconic, man. Do you know what I mean? People know that sound all over the world, don't they now?
I would hope so. I mean, it's funny. Like I feel like I'm still trying to find my voice. All right, you're always trying to find it. So I to me, it's not a definitive. You will not. It is a journey you will always be on. And I think that's a good thing because you'll always be learning. You'll always be evolving too. What your voice is at 18 to 20 might be totally different than your voice at 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your life, everything you go through, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of imparts itself on you and everything like that. So, trial and error. You know what I mean? There was no like crystal moment. There was no light switch where it was like, oh, this is how you do it. It was trial and error. I mean, that was a great part about my early wrestling career, in the developmental system that I was in and everything. Going out to different shows, or two people at this show, there's 300 people at this show. You try singing, you try cutting promos. We're working with people like Dusty Rhodes, who's an incredible, obviously an incredible promo and everything like that. So who's helped us find characters and everything like that. So try everything. Don't be afraid. Like, put yourself out there. You will trip and fall numerous times. Things will fall flat all the time, not just your singing notes, but like just your attempts will fall flat. But it is in those missteps that will lead you to exactly where you need to be and exactly how you need to be.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that leads me nicely onto my next question. On TV, people have seen you change and develop, change gimmicks, change styles over the years. But, for you yourself, how would you say you've changed and developed, not only as a performer, but as a person through your wrestling career from the very beginning in those developmental territories, now to having your spot in Impact Wrestling, revamped, rejuvenated as the Drama King? How have you changed and developed since the beginning of your career up until now?
The biggest thing that, and I think this can apply to almost anything, is confidence. And it's the confidence to go out there and do what you need to do, no matter what. Especially in wrestling, it has taught me to be ready for any given situation. I mean, we play this. This is a show, but we play a lot of big games of improv, and we're playing very physical games of improv out there, and things change all the time. I will tell you this: coming from a fight choreography background, for example, there was an old rule that for every, I wish I could remember, for every 60 seconds of violence. So if you're going to do a fist fight on stage or a sword fight or whatever, every 60 seconds, minute, you needed at least 6 hours or something of practice for that 60 seconds. Or maybe it might have even been 10 seconds, every 5-6 hours of practice for 10 seconds of violence. Well, in wrestling, we're putting together 20-minute matches in the span of an hour. You know what I mean? You get to the building, you're throwing it together because we all have that cumulative experience, that like-minded experience, and we're trusting each other with our bodies. This is kind of a long-winded to say, at the beginning, all that stuff is very intimidating, and you don't know what you're doing, and it's the deer in headlights. But you reach over time, and you get that point where it's like, okay, I have an idea of how this is going to go, but I'm ready for anything, and I'm ready to take command in that ring, no matter what the ring is. Again, whether it's an independent in Iowa or if it's Impact Wrestling on television. Just that confidence to be ready for anything and command that stage.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And would you be, I'm not sure if you'll agree with me here, but I wanted to ask you, the Drama King persona that you have and what you present on TV, is that an extension of your personality, or would you say it's an entirely a is it entirely a performance, or is any of that an extension of who you are?
I mean, absolutely it is. And I think here's the thing. Any role you ever play, ever, whether it's pro wrestling, acting, anything, there has to be, and I would argue that there is, even if you don't think there is, there's a part of you in that role.
Mm-hmm.
I know if you're playing a serial killer, you have something in you that can relate to that role. One of my favorite, I'll give all the credit to Howard Fine. He said, if you've ever been in your house and heard a fly and it drove you nuts and you went around the house with a swatter waiting to where it showed up on a window until you could finally get it, you know what it's like in a little bit to be a serial killer.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. Yeah, that's
because you've stalked something, you had this lust to end its life, right? It's crazy. But so if you don't think you can relate to anything, trust me, it's inside you somewhere. But I mean, the Drama King, especially, it's all the stories I tell are real. I went to theater school. I took did theater in high school, did 4 years of acting. Again, my degree is in acting from Columbia College here in Chicago. So I took this idea of somebody who wanted to use a preposterous premise of a guy who wanted to use pro wrestling to get to Broadway, and be a big, because everybody went to Hollywood. I was going to go to Broadway.
Yeah.
And it's evolved from there into different kind of versions of that. So 100%, there's a lot of me in there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And before we talk a little bit more about your sort of time in Impact Wrestling, I wanted to ask you a question about success, because that's another thing the young people I work with as part of my day job ask me. They say, oh, I'm never going to be to the level of Matt Rehwoldt. I'm never going to have a successful YouTube channel or 2 successful YouTube channels and be on TV. I'm never going to get to that level. And, it can get people quite down, can affect people's mental health. And I wanted to ask you, how do you define success? And have you always had that same relationship with success during your career?
So success to me is finding happiness and balance in what you're doing. That's big for me, because it's not financial. It's not social media follows. It's not that. It's belief and confidence and pleasure and happiness in what you're doing. Please be happy with what you're doing. I don't care if you make the biggest channel in the world or have the biggest spotlight ever. If you're doing something that makes you miserable, that's not success to me. Not to me. And for those people out there who are saying that, like what you're saying, man, you gotta, don't compare yourself to other people. Do not compare yourself to other. You are not that person. You do not live their life. You did not have their circumstances. Maybe they were lucky. Maybe they worked their butt off, and you don't know. You don't know how they got to where they got. So don't ever. Their life is not your life. William Regal told me that. Don't compare your career to other people. Wait, why is he getting that spot? I'm a better wrestler than that guy. Well, because we don't need you right now. We need him. But keep doing you the best way you can do you, and there will be a spot for you. Focus on yourself and enjoy what you do. You know what I mean? And defining the love and doing the work. You know what I mean? Not just it's the whole destination versus the journey thing, right? Like if you're just focused on like, I want to be this guy, you better love the work it takes to be that guy.
Yeah.
The stuff that nobody sees, the hours off camera, off the spotlight, toiling in your own home or in the office or whatever you're doing. Love that part of it, and it'll make the success all the more worthwhile.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you, because that's motivated me, to be honest, man, because I've been there as well. And it's lovely to hear, William Regal's advice to you and things you've heard over the years, because it definitely does help to hear, try not to be that person, try not to put yourself in the mindset of that person, because, it might be their time now, but it might be your time in the future, is what I'm hearing.
100%.
Yeah, it's a good sentiment, man. Moving towards your time with Impact, how is it working with Impact Wrestling now, in terms of the creativity, in terms of what you can do with your time and your creative endeavors versus other places you've been, for example?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I think often actually gets misconstrued in wrestling, especially when people leave, when people leave a company like WWE, who is known to be very tightly control their scripting, which it's their company, that's their choice. People have this misconception, the idea like, oh, well, you go anywhere else, you can do whatever the hell you want, right? And that, like, that's not true either, because all these other companies and places, they have a vision and everything too. But that being said, Impact does have this much more collaborative feel. They want to hear from the talent. They want to, at the end of the day, it's management and creatives vision, and we enact it. We are performers to enact that vision. But there's a lot more communication, and the communication is so much easier. I don't have to hunt people down. I don't have to like sneak around back and knock on doors and hopefully get 30 seconds with somebody. No, everybody from talent to creative to management is walking around at table, talking to each other, both casually and professionally. Super easy to get a hold of anybody. So those lines of communication are wide open, and that's the key. You know, they may not take every idea I throw out, but the conversation is always there. So that collaborative environment was what I really fell in love with the first couple of days I was there.
Absolutely, man. And you got to work with Gianna Perazzo when you came in. And is there anybody else currently in Impact that you want to have the opportunity to work with? Obviously doing some great work at the moment, a wonderful debut as well, you know, a little while back. But is there anybody else you want to work with as well, in addition to Gianna?
Oh my God. I mean, it's, again, walking into that backstage area, like just looking around, I'm like, oh, I want to work with everybody. From a lot of my old friends who have been there, you know, got Sammy Callahan is there, W. Morrissey. I've had a lot of history with him. Eric Young is a friend of mine who I've never really gotten to kind of lock up with. I'd love to work with him. And then there's a lot of new people that I've met for the first time. People I'm doing a little bit of work with, hopefully some more guys like Trey Miguel, guys like Chris Bay, guys like Jake Something, guys like Josh Alexander, the X Division champion. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the current world champion, Christian Cage, somebody who I've looked up to my entire career, you know, somebody who's been a big inspiration to me. So there is a plethora of people in that locker room that I would just love to mix it up with.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And in terms of, again, your passions that keep you motivated outside of wrestling, obviously, you know, you are a performer. You've got your YouTube channels as well. In terms of things like music, because we do a lot of work in music, in terms of music, film, stuff that really motivates you outside of the wrestling ring, what is it that's inspiring you at the moment? What are you kind of drawing from?
So for me, like, it's tough. So I used to be huge in I actually played in a band when I was in high school and college. I'm a bass player, baby. And so for me, I'm actually in the process of kind of connecting with, like, because I kind of stepped away. This sounds weird, like, because music is everywhere, but I kind of like stepped away from music for a while, like without, like, you know, I'm not listening to my favorite bands every day. Like, I'm more focused on, especially all this, the YouTube work and the wrestling and all this stuff, where I haven't really, you know, been a music fan in a while. So I'm kind of reconnecting with some of my old favorite bands and stuff. So for me, it's a lot of I have a lot of, like, punk rock was old school for me. There's a band called the Weaker Thans, who are a Canadian kind of indie band, like Radiohead, stuff like that. There's this one band, I hope they still perform, Sigur Rós.
Yeah, Sigur Rós. Beautiful stuff.
Love that. They're like, that's like my meditation music sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so cool, so well orchestrated. So I'm in the process of reconnecting with some of that stuff right now.
Absolutely, man. Well, I hope it works out for you, man, because Sigur Rós are stunning and great meditation stuff too. I might try and meditate. Right? Sigur Rós, absolutely. Good shout, man. In terms of, you know, you've got your projects, you've got the Drama King Matt show where you've been, you do your gaming, your streaming, but also tips for streamers as well. What is your vision for that? And do you have any? You obviously got Wrestling with Whiskey as well. You know, what is your vision for those channels, and what other projects, if you've got time, which probably you don't have any more time, have you got any other projects in the pipeline you can share with us?
Sure. So yeah, the big other thing is Wrestling with Whiskey. It's one of my little side passions. I love to kind of explore the world of whiskey tasting. I did reviews and stuff like that, but I've also been doing the Straight Shooting podcast, where I introduce some of my wrestling friends and I send them some blind samples, and we taste through those, we talk about life, stuff like that. So that's a big project of mine too. But on the flip side of that, yeah, like with the Drama King Matt stuff, man, I want to, it's beyond just like sitting around playing some games. I love the broadcasting side of sports and entertainment and everything. I fell in love with that, doing that for shows like 205 Live. I was able to do it for New Japan Pro Wrestling a little bit as well. So I want to take that. And I've also in the past year or two really fallen in love with esports, which is a huge growing category. Competitive gaming, games like Overwatch, games like Call of Duty, games like League of Legends, stuff like that. If these people, some people don't realize just how big this is, especially internationally. They will fill football stadiums with fans to watch people compete. And so one of my big goals now is to host, analyze, commentate events of that nature, because I just think it's such a cool growing category of sports and entertainment. And it's another little side passion of mine. So hopefully you'll see me doing more stuff like that outside of the wrestling world.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. I've seen, I once watched like a whole arena full of people do League of Legends, and it blew my mind that was a thing, and that could be a thing. So hopefully that will be in your future. That's really exciting, man. 2 or 3 more questions now. Obviously, we're based in the UK. Have you got any memories? Obviously, Impact's hopefully going to be back in the UK someday soon. Fingers crossed. Any memories that you can share with us with me from your time in the UK? Got there eventually. What are you looking forward to most about getting back over here?
I mean, I was just saying this the other day. That is the thing I missed the most during this whole time, in the world, is traveling international. It's the favorite thing I've ever done in wrestling, outside of the huge football stadiums full of fans. I mean, I like doing the live event tours all around the world because I love being around different cultures. I love getting to travel internationally. So that is the one thing I want to do. I miss. You guys have tea in every hotel room. Bless you. Bless your hearts. I am not a coffee drinker, so these, no offense, America, your crummy coffee machines in every hotel room are terrible. Just give me a kettle and some proper tea bags, and I'm good. And so I love that about UK hotels. But no, just the people. I love the people. The fans over there are awesome. They're so enthusiastic, so creative, and it's just a good vibe, man. I miss the UK almost more than anywhere else.
Absolutely, man. Well, do you drink Yorkshire tea as well? You gotta tell me now.
So I've been recommended. I've had Yorkshire Gold.
Yeah,
I've been recommended that.
Good.
Yes. My go-to is Barry's.
Yeah. Okay.
Barry's Irish. That's my favorite. It's available over here. But every time I ever post about it, I always get hit about 30 tweets who like Yorkshire is the tea.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I have great memory because I used to work in Boston, actually, over in Massachusetts, and when I was over there, my friends imported this big, because it was difficult for them to find this huge box of Yorkshire tea, and it lasted me the whole time while I was over there because they couldn't find it anywhere. And it was the loveliest memory I have of being in the US, was having this big box of Yorkshire tea. Thank you for sharing your tea stuff with me. 2 more left now. I do want to ask, in terms of, again, we're looking at motivations. Obviously, we talked a little about music. What is it that gets you out of bed? What is it that motivates you when you're having because one of the things we do a lot of work with young people talking about motivations and ways to get out of bed, ways to keep them focused. What is it that motivates you, gets you out of bed when you're having a bad day, if you do have those, because you always seem like a very positive person, but when you're having a rough time, what is it that gets you out of bed? What is it that keeps you motivated?
So, I mean, sometimes it differs day to day, you know what I mean? But like, it's important to be really intrinsically motivated. That's the one thing, is like, if it's hard to be extrinsically motivated, which means calling back to success. Don't rely on outside feedback for all your motivation. Be like, if I'm going to do this so people cheer me, I'm going to do this so people like me, I'm going to do this so people follow me, whatever it is. Again, it's doing work I like to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I take so much pride in that I get up and I get to do things like that. This is part of my job right now, is having this awesome conversation with you. That just knowing that, like when I woke up this morning, that filled me with, I'm like, that's part of my job. That's so cool that I get to just connect with people as part of my job instead of just like sitting typing on a keyboard. Although I do a lot of that. But it's finding the joy in the things you do. And again, I feel like a broken record, but finding joy in the work. And if you can wake up and the work you're doing is something you love, you're motivated every day to get it done.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I noticed on some of your videos, you've got in the background there, you've got some lovely little moments, like appreciate the little things and stuff like that. I think that's a really nice touch. And people obviously enjoy those things. Finally, finishing off, obviously we could talk for hours. It's lovely to sit down with you, mate. Obviously fans all over in the UK as well can watch Impact Insiders on YouTube, Impact Plus as well. People can catch Impact all over the world and here in the UK. What is the message for the fans of yours that have seen you progress through your career, seeing you now on YouTube, see you on Impact Wrestling? What is the message for those people that have supported you, whether they're watching this or they watch you in the future on Impact or wherever they find you on YouTube? What is the message for those that have supported you in the past and will continue to support you as you grow and develop as a performer?
I mean, an absolute overwhelming thank you for everything. Thank you for my life. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't get said a lot. You know, we always say, thank the fans, thanks for your support, thank you for that, right? But like, really break it down, pull back and look at, you know, I'm looking into the camera right now. Thank you for my life. You know, from the early days of not knowing where it was going to go to great successes with companies like WWE, to the loss of that, to then you bringing me back into something like it's been because of fans and because of all you. So thank you for that. And gratitude, you know, talking about now, I'm probably going to change it back there. Be grateful. You know what I mean? Grateful for the little things and the big things. So I'm grateful for each and every one of you.
Absolutely. Well, I'm grateful for your time and thank you so much for your energy and your stories as well, Matt. Really appreciate it. And I'll definitely see you down the road, hopefully when you come back here to the UK as well. Take it easy, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.